My beloved family. Let me just get this recording so I also have a copy to share to those of you that are on my YouTube that do not receive my Facebook transmissions. I have been waiting for this moment to express and share about a very specific offering, about a very specific topic, sovereignty. Something that was part of our lesson as mankind from the point of the fall through every war, galactic, universal, and everything we've ever seen on the face of this planet that's recorded in history. This topic has so much depth behind it. And the reason we have been waiting for the perfect time to share this is because what we are ready to share with you is the antidote to fear. It is that missing piece that catalyzes your growth and development on every level. It gives you a level of freedom that are your authentic God-given rights as a man and as a woman. These rights can never be taken away from you. They can only be negotiated, they can only be contracted, they can be hidden. You can give your own rights up, but when you understand who you are, when you understand who you are, they're only hidden. They're always there for you to reclaim. These understandings are the fundamental prerequisite for any community, for any tribe to be able to function, to thrive, to grow. This is a prerequisite to being able to establish a life, a home of peace, of harmony. This is that prerequisite to step up into our power, to take responsibility for your life, for your actions, for your emotions, for your creations. How to set your law. Something that is held and witnessed and verifiable here at this level through the third dimension, but as above, so below, as within, so throughout. This law rings true on every level of creation. But if you do not know your rights, it is easy to get bullied, it is easy to get pressured, it is easy to be told that you are wrong. And if you don't truly know, and you're like, well, maybe you're right. Let's play your game. I'm going to contract to what you are saying. Because these aren't aspects of true or false. Like, there are laws that are set up on a legal system. There's the legal system, and then there is the law system. Two different games. Authentic law trumps the legal system 100% of the time. However, you can choose to play by the legal system and be subject to their laws. It is a choice. And learning what your rights are and how to choose is part of this next stage of initiation for all of mankind. And no, there's a lot of people, especially over these last few years, that have started talking about sovereignty, especially in the spiritual communities and such. Like, it's become a lot more of a prevalent topic because it is even a fundamental prerequisite to any level of growth or development and activation of your higher sensory perception. To wield certain levels of a power and authority, access, and to be able to be of service, even when it comes to grid work, Templar work, when it comes to even being a healer, being a guide, like across the board, or even just living your life in peace. Not having to be afraid of the government, afraid of law enforcement, afraid of the medical systems, afraid of your health, afraid of your well-being, afraid of the situations and global dynamics or the different dynamics in different countries and nations, like all of this fear that keeps us lost in the mind, looping, like unsure, in a state of confusion, in a state of survival. because we're not standing in our power. We don't recognize or remember the authentic rights that are our birthright, that are upheld by every like organization, government on this planet, and are upheld through the highest levels of our God consciousness. And yet there are certain countries like France and multiple different ones that have actually, as a country, voted away their rights to execute and hold their own law, their own court, and have voted that, as a collective, they want to only work through the legal systems. Okay, and that's fine. Everybody has their free will, their right to choose, their right to follow another person. But the time of following others, it's so far gone. Like the time to follow that of which is inside, the most advanced technology on this planet that is within sight of you. But we have to learn how to operate it. You're not going to be able to be put in a brand new car if you don't know how to drive. And if you're in driver's ed school, chances are somebody's not going to let you like drive like some $100,000 car or something. I don't know, like a Rolls Royce or something. I mean, cars aren't really my specialty. So just imagine whatever car is crazy expensive, and imagine giving it to like a 14, 15-year-old. Be like, you've never driven a car, but just go have fun with this. Like, you're going to want to make sure things are given when they can be held and understood to a degree that can actually be supportive to that individual. And and there's, outside of the spiritual community, what's coming out, there's been a lot of individuals and groups over the last few decades that have begun to share about different aspects of sovereignty. And it's like the straw man, the sovereign citizenship, the free man teachings, like the maritime or admirable time law, however, whatever it is. I always get that one mixed up. But like whatever these different forms are that do, in many situations, if you understand them, grant you a little bit more freedom. More so than you might have just as, working through the legal construct that's been established. This is the authentic understanding of how to fully hold your sovereign pillar. It's as simple as you learn like 40 words and you can pretty much call nonsense on all of the extensive, technical, overcomplicated legal statutes and jargon that are thrown at your way. Like, it's so simple to reclaim this. And not only is this something that is so simple, it's one of those things that is proven, verifiable. Like, this is a collaboration that we're getting ready to bring out. We have two brothers that have spent collectively over 10,000 hours in both the United States and United Kingdom courtroom, like putting this together, like having the judges, the prosecutors, like hold them in contempt, trying to like get them to stay in the courtroom, trying to get them to contract to this legal system. And by understanding that rights and their authentic laws, it was an opportunity. And to come in not to attack, not to defend, simply to uphold your rights and the guarantee that nobody will do harm upon you. And to bring to awareness the attempted trespass or violation on your rights as a man or your rights as a woman. And to the point where even these legal representatives that are meant to be public servants, that are meant to help us, that are meant to help mankind, have the opportunity to learn. The judges, the lawyers, the prosecutors, the juries, learning their own rights. Because it's not like everybody, like, oh, this anonymous being called the government or these organizations is against us. And there's those that genuinely believe they are of service and that they are helping, but they've been taught something and that they've been told that this is true. When it's true in one aspect, but you don't have to play that game. Similar to you're playing Monopoly, you've got your little token on the board. You can play that, you can go around, you can pay the debts, you can pay the fines, you can buy the stuff, but you're never forced to continue playing that game. And at any time, you can step up and stand back and be like, you're telling me I owe you, $3,000 for crossing your property. Well, you know what? Okay, game, I'm out of money, I'm back. If you try to come at me telling me I owe you $3,000 because we just played Monopoly, like that's not something that I'm going to engage in. Like, I don't have to, it's not real, it's a game. However, that game exists for us to connect with, for us to utilize, for us to have fun with. And at the same time, the law system, like the courthouses, the court systems were established for very specific reasons, and they were meant to support us and were meant to uphold your rights when somebody violates or tries to steal or take advantage of your property, of, you know, trying to generate some sort of harm to you, your family, to make sure these things were upheld in a way that was harmonious for all, not just like, oh, you stole my bread, we're cutting your arm off. So there are very specific reasons on why these things have become so important. But the issue is we've stepped so far away from remembering what our authentic rights are. Part of why, like, you know, even the United States, like with the 13 colonies and, you know, the Mayflower and those that were trying to get away from the religious imposition and taxation and all this stuff, you know, came over to America to build something new. And this was part of that foundation. But even then, due to the Mayflower Compact, there was already a contracted agreement that put its hooks in America that was between the United States and the United Kingdom. And keep in mind, this law has to be upheld in these locations and is still upheld in a vast majority of the countries on our planet that have yet to vote away their rights. These groups and factions and organizations, like including for those, you know, and if there are certain things that we share on here that don't resonate with you, because I know there's a lot of you that are not working on the advanced spiritual, galactic, all of these sides, and that's what makes this offering so unbelievably, incredibly special, is it doesn't matter. Like, whether you don't believe in conspiracy theories, don't believe in extraterrestrials, don't believe in your multidimensionality, don't believe in these things, that's okay. Because this offering we're bringing forth is meant for you. It'll catalyze you into a state of embodiment, transmute fears and limitations, help you bring remedy and resolution to any type of solution that's causing you harm, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, whatever that may be. To bring resolution even in custody battles or, you know, family courts where we're dealing with partners or ex-partnerships, you know, that there's just disharmony and chaos. And a lot of the times people's children and stuff are being utilized to manipulate that other parent. And sometimes you'll go around circles trying to bring resolution. We've had people that work with this and in a matter of like a month, 2 months have established full resolution with these partners or with these exes that have been going for years causing issues and chaos. There's so much on this subject, so much on this topic, but this is something that is able to help you, that you can see and understand this information from the late 1800s to early 19, like, you know, 19, right before we started to have the world wars and stuff like that. Like, these were on K through 12 education tests so that you knew what your actual rights were. And then, of course, we start to have the world wars and all of this, you know, dynamic that's generating even more chaos. And as this is happening, they're removing this from the school systems, removing this from the education system, so you no longer know what your rights are. Just like how most people now, you know, don't know the presidents or all these things about how the government works. You know, about how to pass laws, not how to go complain to something and have somebody else judge for you, but stand in your power and, like, actually file claims, actually address this, actually go into a situation that you see is causing harm and bring remedy to that so that it can be truly for the highest good of every individual involved and can bring authentic level of remedy and resolution to reestablish harmony. And this is, you know, it's the difference between trying to protest for all of these different things and still watching laws that are unlawful, that we see things that are being passed. We're like, this is not for the highest good of mankind, but it's legal. You know, there's a lot of, so there's a lot of things that are legal that are not lawful. There's also a lot of things that are lawful that are for the support of each and every one of us that are illegal, that block and create these limitations to bring out medicines, housing structure, everything across the board that is proven, verified, tested. It's so much healthier than what's past these regulations. But there's reasons because of these laws, because of these statutes. And once again, like, we have to understand what we're already agreeing with, what we're already contracting with. This is not about just, I get to do whatever I want. No. Like, yes, you do, but as long as that is not in violation or harm of another, or that you're not trespassing on another's field, property, rights, on their own well-being, on their family, or any aspect that could cause harm or disharmony. And if you accidentally do, take responsibility for that. And of course, one last final thing in regards to this, because there's a lot that you're going to be learning from this, that we're going to be sharing, that we're going to be bringing forth, that already, just over the last year alone, has impacted the lives of over 20,000 people that have put this directly to use and have actually demonstrated this, while also developing a container, a community of others that are reclaiming their sovereign rights, and having hundreds of hours of material that you can go through to learn how to establish your business in the private. You can learn how to address pretty much any issue that is in a violation of your rights once you know what they are, and you can bring resolution and remedy to this. And it's even things down to like taxation. Like, those of you that are running businesses, those of you that are healers, guides, light language activators, that are grid workers, that are setting up courses, coaching, all of this, right? That you're providing a service, your wisdom, your knowledge, you holding that space and container, you putting your energy into something. Because remember, money, finances, it's another form of energy. And when you're aligned to your inner truth, your inner gnosis, like, it's a magnetization that just like brings everything that you need, want, and desire. And we're in a transition stage, my beloved family. Like, Shinamara Shiniasuntora Shetekesaro Sapakatiresha A Rosara Shitamati Rahiatonta Riasu Ontaishe Rashakamai Yunto Rainta Roshukuma A No Rahia Sata Rashu Untamakatira Shunta A. We're in a point where your services, your wisdom, your support, your healing, not only are your abilities about to go up tenfold, I don't even want to put that limit on it, just skyrocket, but the level of interest and need for our services, for our help, are about to be larger than they ever have. It's like we've been in this training phase, and the poverty, the financial sides, all of this has been a struggle for many. And those of you that have been healing your body systems, that have been recognizing your worth, that have been aligning to your soul passion, like, thank you for doing that work and clearing these limiting programs that block us from receiving the reciprocation that we require to be able to show up in the greatest levels of service. Without our bodies breaking down, without our nervous systems burning out, without our energy levels blocking us from being able to show up 100% in our power. And so with this, this is why it goes so heavily for those of you that are not awakened, that want to just finally, like, actually have peace and harmony in your body, like, and are wanting to receive this side I'm going to share after this point, in regards to taxation and how it is a level of consent you can give, but you are not required of it. If you make an income and want to call it income, then yes, you are going to be held to pay income tax. But if you are receiving something that is from your heart, your creations, a payment for your service, like, you get to choose what you want to do with this. You can call it income if you want, but you don't need to, because it's an energetic exchange. And personally, those of us that are healers, those of us that are starting these things, those of us that are working with alchemy, medicines, regenerative ecology, whatever it may be that we're bringing out, that we're also, teaching and guiding and bringing in resources and incomes, like, we get to consent where our energy goes to. Do we want to send it to these organizations or groups that claim they're being of service, but we don't necessarily see this? And it's nice to be able to have that choice. Like, yeah, I want to pay income tax. I want to go to this. Or, you know what? I'm going to keep this money so I can actually donate it to here, or invest in this, or invest in myself and my health so I can show up to be of better service. Not because I'm being selfless or selfish, but because I understand that through sovereignty, it's intertwined with the law of one. We are all one. And when I say service to all, like, it's service to others, service to all, there's never a need for us to exclude ourselves from that. And in many times, these are where the saints and martyrdom templates and all this stuff come in. savior mentalities, all of these different aspects, because we exclude ourselves from this. But when we bring that into a unified state and recognize that we are all one, for us to serve, especially if we have that desire and that path to actually show up and help others, to inspire, to pave a new path of freedom and liberation for all, like, it's going to require us to be able to like have those resources, have the finances, have stable homes, housing, community, the what we require to invest, to build, to create, and to seal up our containers from anything that's taking our energy, finances, money, one and the same thing, just a physical manifestation. And so if there are certain groups and organizations that are corrupt and we're choosing to give them our own money, our own energy, we're feeding into these systems. And a lot of the times when people recognize this and don't want to, they're either hiding it or lying about it. Afraid of the IRS, this big boogeyman that's going to come after you. And then we hear of people that don't pay it or evade it and get arrested or fined. And we're like, oh, well, you know what? That's because this is the law. And it's like, no, actually, that's a legal statute that was passed. That can be law if you so choose, but it does not have to be if you choose to direct your energy in a different way. But if you do not know your rights, if you do not know how to uphold them, if you do not know how to take back your energy, take back your power, step back, resign from enabling these systems of control, intimidation, extortion that are like, yeah. And once again, the people that serve the government are a different side. These are other man and woman working in an organization. The government is something as a whole that we've been programmed to believe this fear of, like, oh, it's going to do this, oh, it's going to do these shadow organizations, these groups. No, there's a reason why, even when we look at like the corruption that every country has their own corruption, but if we look at, for those of you that are a little bit more aware of like the dynamics, like in Washington DC, and the dynamics over in like the city of London, and these places that are their own sovereign district nations, like they, it's like the United States, DC is the capital, but it's not part of the United States. Like the the city of London is not part of like the greater city of London. And the reason these locations do hold a lot of dark energies and a lot of controlling energies on the planet is because they understand these laws. And we've given them a level of power through recognition of that of which has been stated and collectively agreed upon. And here's the thing is, like, these beings understand karmic imposition, violation, all of this. So they understand that if they want to be in a level of power, if they want to have access to what they do and do what they're doing to our family on the planet, that if they don't get our consent to say yes in some way, shape, or form, then it's going to be a violation upon our rights, even if we don't recognize and remember that. And they don't want to be held accountable to that level of karmic repercussions. So instead, it's like, all right, I am going to, we're going to create a system, we're going to make sure that anybody that knows their rights can show up in our courtrooms and hold that, and we're going to honor that, but nobody really knows what to do. So we're going to give them this other option that's kind of like the parent that's like, all right, you're the children, this is the option, this is how we're going to resolve things. And if people decide to go that way, then all of a sudden you're contracting to play that game and you're held liable or legally bound to those rules and laws. You've got to remember who you are, because it's a back and forth where they'll try to contract you. You just got to remember you can step back at any time. And in order for them to do what they're doing, we've had to give some sort of consent in some way, shape, or form. And until we take back our power, take back our rights, we're still subjected to these systems, subjected to what we could be as violations or trespass upon our own well-being, when in reality we already agreed to it. It's kind of like a dominatrix or something, it's like if you have somebody come over and you beat them or, beat them, sexually violate them, you're going to jail. It's assault, like at the very least. But, if you're beating somebody and somebody's screaming, people call the cops and the cops show up and you're like, well, actually, we have this written contract right here that says I can do this, 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 and this, to this individual. And if she wants it to stop or he wants it to stop, they'll just say this word or do this behavior. It's a written contract. So what would be illegal that you could be arrested for, you're now in a contract. Your consent's been given. So it's legal now. It's legal to be hurt, to be treated in that way. And that's your own right. And part of this is, once again, learning where our rights are, learning what is real. Not these illusions, not these belief patterns, not these titles, organizations, names, but what is real? What is true? So, to those of you that are following the news, the governments, all these different organizations, like those of you that are still paying income tax, those of you that are running businesses, whatever it may be, this is something that's going to transform your life entirely. And for those of you that are more on the spiritual aligned path, that have been working to reclaim your body, activate your DNA, restore your biocircuitry, your light body systems, all of this, activate your memories, activate your higher senses, your higher sensory perception, restore the communication channels with a lot of our different extraterrestrial and interdimensional family and councils, and those that are coming in those that are here, if you know, you know. But at the same time, we still have a lot of the new age, the love and light, this and that allows us to bypass the authentic things that are going on that we as a whole, as collective, have consented to or are voting into. And if we don't take back our power and rights, then we are giving implied consent that allows us to kind of just be dragged along the collective current. And within the spiritual community, we've taken on so many names. It's like, I'm this name, I'm this name, I was this incarnation, I was this ascended master, I was this archangel, I was this guru, I'm a king, I'm a queen, I'm whatever you want to be. Even in Zodiac, I'm a Scorpio, I'm a Leo, I'm a Libra, I'm an Aries. These things, or I'm connecting with this being and this God and the God of so and what, so much of this actually is utilized for identity overlays and access because we're connecting to something that is not authentically true, or we're taking on a name, a title that gives us certain obligations and responsibilities that we don't even know what our basic rights are. So therefore we're upheld to something that we're not initiated to be able to actually uphold in the ways that we think. And we don't even really remember what these authentic titles of king and queen, of all of these different things that simply represent you as a man or you as a woman, a creation of the creator and the creator itself. At the highest level, we're the ones that created the law systems, created the legal systems. And it's literally the difference between the dark and wounded mother and father construct that's been here, pretending to be the real parents, taking care of humanity, versus our authentic father and mother. What many refer to while they're discerning to this holy mother, holy father, but no, our authentic, whew. That is also here to uphold and oversee this process as we reclaim our power and rights, and is assisting in clearing interfering forces and such that are actually trying to get us to contract to names, identities, memories, things that actually diminish our power as a man and a woman, as a creation of the creator and the creator embodied itself. The highest at this point of manifestation, even though it's not hierarchical, when you're talking about that source for emanation and what was bestowed upon us as mankind, the angelic tribes of humanity to be guardians, stewards, family, and unity as a tribe, individual tribes unified through the one. So there are many of us, even going past those that are still learning, holding on to names, holding identities, calling out these things, there are many of us that have authentically established the understanding of the universal God sovereign law, and have understood and been aware of how to hold our sovereignty at various levels of our multidimensionality. To stand in our power, to get out of the attack and defend, to simply stand embodied in your gnosis and God-embodied presence, holding compassionate witnessing and unconditional love, but equally holding each individual accountable for their actions and behaviors. and finding a way to establish remedy and resolution, not to cause harm to somebody else, not to get payback or revenge, but let's establish harmony and resolution in every aspect of our lives. Like, can you just imagine how that would be if instead of arguments or people running away or hurting each other's feelings or attacking or getting revenge or somebody making a mistake and getting 20 years of prison in their life, whatever it may be, or somebody having their kids taken away, like, can you just imagine if that harmony was able to be established and systematically one by one, these like things just dissolve away and it's peace that remains? And can you imagine, like, we've already seen what happens with like the collective sweep. It's kind of like how back in the day, I don't know the exact numbers, but it's like they say, it used to be like 4 minutes roughly was like the longest mile anybody could run. And they thought that was just the human limit. And then, one day somebody broke that. And then shortly after, another person broke it. And more people broke it. And now people in high school and college, that are in a healthy state with their physical temple, it's easy for them. Like, they can easily do that. But before, it was thought to be impossible. And there have been those that have been pioneering, trying their best to bring these things out, but it's complex, it's complicated, it's hard to learn. It causes you to still have to work within confinements of this legal system. It's not really supportive or necessary, And this can be some of you are feeling like, oh my gosh, this is so empowering. And there's some of you that are probably feeling kind of triggered. Like, who do you think you are? Why would you say this about the legal systems? Why would you say this about governments? I pay my taxes. Of course you have to do that. Like, sovereignty is so multifaceted. And part of this is also taking responsibility for our own emotions, for our own well-being, to strengthen this, to heal those aspects of ourselves that might want to project or, engage or trespass or violate another person's rights because of us not being able to face and recognize things on our own. And there's a lot of reasons for this: conditioning, self-worth, self-love, not having the systems, not having the communities, not having the tribes, not having the brotherhoods and sisterhoods that are actually aligned to the proper, organic, eternal life codexes that can understand the full spectrum depth of this and really help you step back into all that you are. And these are in development. These are coming out. This is a core focus of what we're being asked to focus and bring forth over these next couple of years, between now and 2024. But before these things can really be established, we have to have an embodied prerequisite understanding of our sovereign rights, of who we are as man and woman, of who we are as brother and sister, of who we are as family, as tribe, as council, as community. And also be able to understand, like, when you're going somewhere, and there's certain things that are not able to happen. We've seen this a lot with housing projects and different things that don't meet the regulations that they're speaking of, but actually surpass the level of quality of life that's given to an individual. When we see something that's actually impacting or being blocked from us being of service, true service, like not just rushing something because we think it's a great idea, but we understand, we know this is going to be of helpful service, and now there's something blocking of us to actually address a need that's growing out of hand. Like that, how is that? That might be legal, it might be voted, but how is that lawful if it actually continues to perpetuate the suffering or harm of others that could benefit from this? Like, therefore, like, this is not my truth. And I will honor that of which is supportive, but at this point, I'm going to show up with the court of man, with my court. I'm going to express my law. I'm going to illuminate why this is causing harm to others, and why you as a judge, you as a prosecutor, you as a police officer are a public servant that is meant to uphold what is authentically for the highest good of all. And be able to teach these jury of our peers, that they have the rights to overrule or overturn any of these different things that, like, okay, a lot that we could go into. I'm just dropping all of these pieces. I'm starting now because we want to start this over the next couple weeks. And it's one of those things that, like, we want to bring in those of you that are ready to work in a group unified container as we actually learn this together, get to practice, get to embody this, and also hold this in an amplified field that amplifies this sovereign codex. through all morphogenetic layers, through all aspects of our planet, to kickstart this remembrance from within that can push past that tipping point, the sovereign reclamation of mankind, which is a fundamental prerequisite piece for us to move forward with this planetary reclamation and changing of the guard, as well as to recognize even those different groups and organizations that are coming out from the shadows, speaking of sovereignty, trying to get people to sign documents, do things to be given your sovereignty, which you can't be given because nobody can give it to you other than God and yourself. But sometimes if you don't know that, it's easy to get, I've got a paper that says I'm sovereign. Like, it's important for us to understand with the shifting dynamics of what's going on, like how to address this, and equally how to actually start to be able to ground our power in. Like I was saying, I know this is very spherical, but there are those of us that have gained our multidimensionality or our sovereignty at different states and levels of our multidimensional anatomy and our body systems, and have been anchoring and navigating through here when working with a lot of the different agendas and attacks and interference and gestalts and groups. So it's been an ongoing process, but many of us have struggled at this embodied level, the third dimensional physical vessel incarnate level, to be able to actually anchor that sovereignty like a rock, like a pillar, unwavering, not being pushed side to side, unsure, doubting, confused, out of your power, in your power, but the moment someone's threatening you or attacking you or threatening to arrest you or, telling you, oh, you leading groups or you've been a healer now, you've been receiving your stuff through PayPal, you need to file through the IRS, otherwise you're going to be fined or we're going to come after you. Like these, then it's like, oh my gosh, I've got this fear, I've got this anxiety because we feel obligated to something that we're not. Once again, it's all a choice, and there's nothing wrong with whatever you choose to do, but when you are being forced or coerced or told that these are your choices, just don't look over here, there's no other choices, these are your two, and they're not for your highest good, then really question that, because I guarantee there's a middle point, a third choice that will support you. And even before, I understood the levels I do at the 3D level, that even I'm being initiated in even more this year, and we as a group will be initiated in even deeper. The sovereignty piece was one of the biggest aspects in alignment with the divine wisdom and sacred science keys that I was reclaiming. That I didn't even understand the depth and power. And when you remember who you are and you see the state of our planet in existence, it's like, oh my gosh, how did I ever give away my sovereignty? How did we as mankind, as a family, give away our sovereignty? And learning how to uphold that. But I've been put in situations without knowing in the law system and such in the legal system, where I've been in situations where they have tried to take me out of alignment to be able to actually do what we've done these last few years and what was required through some of the beginning stages of my initiations in preparation for when I turned 30, and now this next layer for myself from 30 to 33 in 2024. And even here, stories I'll share at another time, but I was being tooled two options. Neither of them were for the highest good of myself. And this was an initiation to stand in my power and also understand what's capable when we actually bring forth our rights, our court is the court of man, the court of Ryan, the court of whoever you may be. And, throughout that process, even myself, not going in there, bringing all these specifics, laws, explaining how it is, but just expressing, just being no, and not being afraid of the outcome, being there is no other option. This is the highest, and I trust that. To the point where at the end, it's the judge, the prosecutor, my lawyer, are saying literally, there are certain things that they've never even thought was possible to be expressed by someone in their court. And that every single person that would enter that courtroom from that point on was going to be held in a completely different light. To be seen that there is a different way, and that these ways that they've seen, that they've given to the people, these just these court requirements, these sentences, whatever they may be, they believed were really for the highest good of them. And when somebody comes in as their authentic being and their sovereign power, and once again, I was being initiated into this stuff. Like I didn't understand. It can be scary at that point. But to stand that and to let that heart guide you and to show another way that proved to each of them, they're like, you are the direct example of that you can't fit a round peg in a square hole, or a square peg in a round hole, whatever it was. And that, like, yeah, there's a lot we're going to be sharing, and that's what this is all boiling down to. I'm just starting to open up this portal of self-discovery, of freedom, to be able, for those of us that are really here on celestial service missions, to ground ourselves in, anchor this sovereign embodiment, to understand our laws at a physical, tangible level that ring true on every single level of our existence. And so even if we've been figuring this out, if we don't know this here, we're not embodying full sovereignty. But what's amazing is, as you are at this point here, when you learn this and you clicks in that aha moment, it's catalyzing through every body system, and it'll be applied to every aspect of your life. So whether you are not awakened, not spiritual, don't care to be, like, this is that gate to freedom, peace, harmony, resolution, prosperity that you've been calling in. And naturally, it will begin to awaken to a deeper depth of spirituality and alignment. And to those of us that have already been working on this and are all in the galactic realms or doing this, but haven't really grounded that to this level, like, this is our opportunity to ground it, anchor it, amplify this, stand stronger in our power than ever before, and be able to move forward gracefully, fearlessly, bravely, courageously, compassionately, humbly. And because it's not a superpower we've learned, we've just discovered our birthright, and can set an example of leadership and guidance and stewardship to help other people come back into their own power and alignment. And man, this topic, this living consciousness behind this sovereign law, and what it does when it begins to actually be embodied and understood, like the level of power and freedom you can feel even in a system that seems like it's crumbling in, or like it's controlling, or there's all these scary things happening. What's going to happen? What's going to happen? Well, when you reclaim your sovereign power, like, my family. So anyway, so we are bringing out a collaboration course. This is something that'll be a 12-week module. We're going to be going through it together as a group, but you can do this on your own time. It's very short, very simple, very easy to actually be able to learn, and will transform everything. And we've been able to bring together a unified offer that's going to make this the most affordable it's ever been able to bring out for so far. And equally, there's a whole point where you're going to have like over 100 hours of video catalog. Like, you can type it in, search, pull it up, be walked through on any situation you could potentially want to deal with, including if you're a business or a corporation that's wanting to go into the private. And so, while also being part of a community that is equally growing and learning, and so it's and out of my 8 years of direct initiation, out of my almost 16 years in this life of being prepared to undergo the processes I've gone through, never have I been able to learn of anything outside of myself, only that of which is been mirrored to me to help me validate and verify and cultivate, alchemize my own gnosis. So there's a lot of people more so now that are speaking of things nobody was speaking of years ago, but it also helps give us more context on what we're already working with, and have to be careful not to take in other people's ideas or thought things that could corrupt my pure stream of my channel with my highest self and God intelligence. Another aspect of sovereignty, all we need is ourselves, nothing outside of ourselves. Channeling all of this, like, come back to your center, come back into your power, and then work to ground it, because that's where I'm at right now. Natishia karamakinia kontoria kamaki isila rashitigera kiaraka nokora kamahisela shtariasi eako osia laki siaki akototaka hishaka Ri isnaki lahila kusula kurshiki aisuna. Roshaka mahiti aka usu harahisha naka isu okyo 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 okyo. Ushukutu. So I'm going to be sharing. My goal is to come out and share almost every day or any day that's outside of when I'm integrating or holding our private work. Because just this is something that's a catalyst for all of us. And it's one of those things that by bringing each other together in unity through a proper alchemical field that's connected into the Templar system and planetary grids, we can radiate this field and reach that tipping point. And so through this is a collaboration of bringing in the 3D sides that that we can actually work with in any situations, and uphold our rights and guarantee them to be honored and upheld, and step out of any of that survival or that fight, flight, freeze. Like, we don't need to attack, we don't need to defend, we simply need to remember. And from that point, we can choose. And how this will help the unification of all of us and diminish attacks or interference or fear or confusion, whatever it is, just like poof, dissolves away. So through this container, we're going to be opening up. We're going to be setting a new space. We collectively are going to be initiated by our highest selves and God's source intelligence into our sovereign rights, into the universal sovereign law and its embodied manifestation through every layer and component of our being. And then from there, we're going to be going through and actually learning this module and going through it and being able to actually like go at our own pace, ask questions, practice these things till we can really integrate it. And there will be certain points where we're then going to help correlate and align these understandings at this level to more of your multidimensionality, more of your higher consciousness and your authentic rights at this level, to help you perform certain activations and attunements to set new sovereign laws and rights for your field, for your body, for every aspect of yourself. And to help with the necessary clearings or the limiting programs and thought patterns from the times we've given up our sovereignty, or the times that our fields have been trespassed on, or that we've been abused or bullied, or we felt like our rights were taken or stolen from us. Like, there's so many layers of trapped emotions. There's full layers of fortifications that are entirely new shields and like stabilizing architecture, that when you state this command for your law, when you go through these activations we're bringing forth while learning how to do this yourself and learning how to uphold this, like the level of interference is just going to diminish. Like the level of ease and grace, fluidity, harmony, playfulness is just going to start to course through every aspect of all that you are. So this is us just announcing that we're going to be bringing this out, and we want to start now because we will be working with this and after the last 3 years, something that will be completed between now and or this upcoming mid-March to the end of April. 3 specific alchemical sequences that go into what we refer to as the initiation of the Phoenix will be made fully available and in various packages, whether you want 1, 2, or 3 initiations, will be available for the public to start going through this upcoming year cycle. And 2 of the 3 are required to work within the solar alchemical alignments, and we're just trusting that those of you that are ready for the next layer of this, of that level of your embodiment in this final stage of preparation before 2024, will feel that heart call and join us with that. And if that is you right now, if your heart is saying yes, or you're feeling some interest, or you're feeling questions come up, like unify with me in this moment, with us, our family that are here with us at any point in time, but receiving the same living stream of consciousness that's coming through me, through I, through you, through we, to all. And like take that feeling of what it feels like to genuinely be free. Free financially, free from fear, free from limiting behaviors, free to have like Imagine what it's like to have your power through knowing your rights, to actually be able to uphold those rights. And instead of waiting for other people to vote things through or protest things that are unlawful, how to actually go and address it yourself, or get a small group, 12, 144, all move forward with this understanding to bring full resolution and termination to that of which no longer serves. Imagine being able to actually hold and seal up your container in a way where you are not bound or contracted to any organization, group, government, or anything that you don't believe serves you or the greatest good of all. And imagine not having to lie or having to hide about that, being able to take that back and be like, you know what, this is my choice and I can't be punished for this. You can't hold this against me. You know, oh, you're going to try to bully me, you're going to try to threaten me with this. Like, okay, things we'll learn at another time. But just imagine this, and imagine being able to be so grounded into our embodiment and power that we can move effortlessly, gracefully, fearlessly, courageously into any situation. And that we actually get to keep all of the finances, any type of exchange that we may receive for the work we're putting out without that being taken away from us. To be able to establish resolution and remedy between friends, relationships, families, businesses, councils, teams, organizations, cities, nations. Like, and what all of that, like, what kind of gift that can be, what that truly means. And just through feeling that, feeling this gift, this remembrance, this reclamation that is bursting from the hearts and soul of each individual, each and every one of us, whether we remember it consciously or not. It's just waiting for that permission to awaken, to ask the right questions, to be activated or have memory triggers that you can feel that are just helping you be able to actually like so much energy running through right now. A topic we've been waiting so long to be able to share and bring forth. So for those of you that are feeling this energy, that are imagining what it would be to hold this level of sovereignty and remembrance, this simplicity, this potency behind this wisdom that can be recognized and seen and known and remembered as authentic truth, not the perception of one or another, but what is authentically true. So I'm just feeling this, recognizing that even in this moment, as we are calling this in and feeling this, we are holding this spaciousness, this field, this container for all of our family across the planet to feel this, to awaken this, to hear this call. And together in this space, we can put out that call through our unified heart field as the living diamond grids that we are and embody, to bring forth through the magnetic and electrical currents, through all the morphogenetic fields, through all the crystal caverns and broadcasting systems, through all elementals, through all of the elemental sovereign commands, to bring out this call, to call our brothers, our sisters, our mothers, our fathers, our sons, our daughters, our beloveds, our family, our councils, our teams, our tribes, to come together, to unite, to actually be able to remember that of which has been forgotten, to remember that of which we have been reclaiming piece by piece, and to integrate this into the deepest state of embodiment that allows us to actually move forward gracefully, easefully, harmoniously, and joyfully through this transition process that our planet and we, the unified tribe of mankind, are moving forward through. So we'll have 3 different options for the sovereignty side. 1, come in on the base level, go through the basic module, just so you can have this empowerment and wisdom. 2, go through the base module, have access to the full database to where you can take this as deep as you want to go and join this growing community of man and woman that are reclaiming their sovereign rights and power. And the third, which is what our heart's calling out for, is to come into this alchemical container, to work with, to receive the module, to receive the totality of everything that you can dive into, that you can share, that you can go with others, while also coming together to receive these attunements and alignments to activate from this level all the way through our soul, oversoul, through our avatar, and to those of us that come from outside of this system that have already gone through reclaiming all of our fractal pieces and then leaving and doing it one more time. Like, we've already embodied this, and it's time to reignite that within our current temple vessels. It's a genetic codex that's inside of us, and it's here for all. So yeah, to come in, to learn these understandings, to receive these activations, attunements, clearings, to really support us into the most full spectrum, embodied, like sovereign teaching, understanding that has really been expressed or made available to the public, to you, to I, to our family, and is hands down the very first set of brothers that are outside of myself, but mirrors of the self. We each hold our own unique keys. They're the first people. I got every green light to be able to actually connect with and to actually learn these things. And so many of them are things that I already knew or that I had learned on my own initiation, and it wasn't until having it structured and shared in this way that just like click, 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 click. And now it's time to really go dive deep into this, to embody this, to integrate this, to be able to be very fluid and coherent with this, and to support others in remembering this as well. So it's an extraordinarily incredible, beautiful, magical time to be alive. And there's so much that's trying to instill fear, confusion, doubt, uncertainty. And instead of looking outside of ourselves, let's look inside of ourselves. Let's reclaim our sovereign power and rights fully, completely, and totally. And just watch what that alone shifts for the entire collective and how that supports every single piece that we've all been waiting to be developed, created, co-birthed. And just watch how effortlessly it'll begin to happen. It's time to step up from the sacred son that we all are, manifest as the sacred daughter, the sacred son, S-O-N, because we're all, or a son, S-U-N. But whether we are a daughter of God or a son of God, it's time to step up as man, as woman, recognizing our divinity, recognizing our equality, recognizing this state of unity, and building each other up so we can collectively wield this sacred power and authority for the highest good of every kingdom in creation. So please, if this resonates, share this with others. I'm going to work to bring out certain things a little bit shorter, focusing on a little bit different pieces, maybe a little bit more coherent in a linear manner. I've been waiting all year to bring this out. And the last 2 months, it just was illuminating more and more and more. And after what was accomplished over these last 2 weeks, like, it's just like screaming out, it's time. It's time. And it's a topic that is just, it's so exciting and invigorating and rejuvenating and just, because it's a huge key to everything we've all ever worked for and more. So please reach out if you're interested. Start asking yourself. You're already going to be feeling something in your heart and body, and it's either like a yes or like there's something to this, I want to know more. And if you're really triggered or something that's like, oh my gosh, like, process those emotions, go back, really take responsibility for yourself, your accountability yourself. We're not here to force anything. We just want to give an opportunity to help you illuminate a path that you can choose that might not be recognized or forgotten, or other people might have told you can't do this, your families, your teachers, whoever it may be. Like, and it's time to remember what is authentic, what is real, what is true, and see all sides and be able to make that choice, to be able to choose. So process whatever is needed there, then really dive into this. And all you can do is just ask, yourself, is this in alignment for me? Ask if there's something here that I can receive. Ask if this can support me in coming into all of my power. Ask if this can support me in helping be of service to others. And like everything we do, we can only share that much about what we're doing. Because it's a lot of stuff. It's not until we're in that moment that it's like, all right, this is when the stream is able to be opened up. But the base foundation of the module that we are going to be working with, in unison with our teachings and activations that are going to be brought forth, is something that it's, yeah, very fluent. You'll receive this week by week by week. You'll have access to it. You're going to have support with this. And even those of you that are interested, that want to check out a little bit more about the modules, the course and stuff like that, while we're starting to actually bring out the just start to actually bring out the enrollment, the process, the structure for this that's been established. If at any point you want to see or check in and feel for yourself and even listen to part of one of the first modules, we've got you on this. Like, we want you to feel confident and excited. And all we can say is that when you can, no matter how awakened, no matter how embodied you are, or no matter where you're at, whether you're in the fear and trauma or whether you're stepping fully in your power, like, this is the catalyzing agent, and your perception of this world, your perception of yourself, will never be the same. And your ability to just be free from fear and these limiting thought forms are going to unlock something in you that's just going to ignite you with your level of creation, with your establishment of your rights, your law. So, I feel like that's enough to just open this up for you to start to feel into, consider, tune into, ask questions. And very excited to be able to hold a space to help bring forth and facilitate this. And my beloved and I are so unbelievably ecstatic to connect with many of you that are going to be joining us with this process here over the next few weeks, because it's been a long time coming. And as always, divine perfect timing, and that timing is now. With everything I am, beloved, I love you, and thank you for choosing to be here now. And thank you for always trusting your heart, for using your own discernment. And thank you for honoring me as your brother, as I honor you, my brother, my sister, my family. From the deepest layers of my heart and all that I am, I love you so much, beloved. Thank you for receiving this video, and I am beyond ecstatic to share more on this soon and to begin this deep dive journey with you all here over the next few weeks. Have a beautiful, sacred moment in your divine existence, and we will be connecting soon. Aloha.